Welcome to Think Beyond TV, special edition on AI. I'm Mahima Weerasinghe.
I'm Jeewaka Perera, and I think we have a very interesting program lined up for you today.
Yes, Jeewaka. Today, we are going to talk, as you said, a very important topic. Talk about a very important topic, which is AI. In day-to-day life, whether you're a student, whether you are working at a company, or whether you want to start your own business, decisions are very important. And because of the invention of AI and that it has impacted our lives, all this decision making is influenced by AI. So it is very important for us to understand as to how to use AI. And it's not only specifically important to a certain sector of work, right, Jeewaka?
Absolutely. So I think the timing of discussion is this discussion is actually very prompt, and we are in a point where AI is being democratized and it's spreading to not just IT sector, but it's being widely adopted by all the other industries and people of all the different ages as well, ranging from school children to university students to workplace and general public in their day-to-day activities.
Exactly. So because we use always devices all the time, like mobile phones, you have your laptop, AI is closer to us all the time.
Yes, especially because AI brings a lot of things into the mix. Because we can improve our productivity, not just from a perspective of a student, but from a perspective of a business as well. They get a lot of leverage in boosting. I think there are a lot of examples we can give from industry as well as use cases from universities as well.
Definitely. So let's start from education, right? So when you were studying, did you use AI when you were studying?
When we were doing it, we didn't have that advantage, but now I think students have a huge advantage. But at the same time, I think we should be a little bit cautious about how we use these tools. With this massive productivity, we should also be smart about how we use AI tools.
Exactly.
If we look at school child, they can use it for all different purposes. How would you recommend they would use it?
I think it's very important to see the leaders who use this smartly, right? If you take like EU countries, they are adopting their schools properly to this technology. So if I want to give some point of reference, I would say look at EU and their guidelines in terms of what they want. But generally, the understanding is that in a younger age at school, what we are trying to do is build your brain, right? So we want the brain to have the capability, the human brain to have the capability to do work, right? That is very important understanding. So initially, the idea of teaching is that a student should become independent at the end of the day in terms of knowledge. Right? After you learn, you cannot depend on your teacher. You would go out and perform what you learned. So in order to give that independence, the way we use AI should be very, very smart. Now we see, especially in developed countries, there are trends where use of AI is limited. During a very small period of time, they get to use AI. And the availability of digital tools are also managed. It's not abundantly available during the school time. They first use, without any AI, their brain capability, their ability to solve problems, understand, and then they would try to use AI, but that also during a limited period of time. This is the trend that I see, Jeewaka.
So using AI smartly means we would not be disregarding the use of AI, but we would be using it in a very specific way, not just to get some output out of it,
Exactly.
but just to enrich ourselves and how we could improve ourselves by using these kind of tools. So it all boils down to the same topic that we were talking about in the beginning, how we can use AI tools to enrich ourselves rather than to diminish our human capabilities and our potential itself.
Exactly.
So I think that's why EU is shifting to limit and manage these usages at a very younger age. So how would you recommend a school child would use these kind of tools, while leveraging their potential as well as keeping their curiosity and their cognitive levels intact?
Yeah, so we have to understand that the word you said is very important, right? Curiosity. Curiosity is the thing that helps you to dive deeper into some subject. So the moment we lose curiosity, we lose the ability to dive deeper and learn. So the precursor for learning is curiosity. So I think if we use AI in a general term, let's talk about very structured terms later, but in general, okay, we are trying to enrich our lives. To do that, learning is important. To learn, we need curiosity. And we need to find ways to use AI without killing our curiosity. Do you have any experience in terms of that? I mean, maybe with large language models or something like that. Let's say a normal student is trying to use a large language model.
Yes, so I have seen two types of students. So some students I've seen using AI, let's say they get a homework and they just directly ask the homework question in the LLM and then they get the answer copied down. But I think I prefer the second type of students where I have seen them using AI tools as a companion to sort of build up a discussion and go deeper into a subject. And it's not just one way learning, it's sort of like a discussion where it's like peer learning now.
It's like a discussion that
yes,
we have,
so
yeah.
you don't have to go for a peer anymore. You just have a peer built in your devices now.
Exactly.
So I think this is where the smart use of AI comes in, like using a AI tool like a Socratic learning for a Socratic learning experience.
What do you mean by, for the viewers, what do you mean by a Socratic learning experience?
So that's sort of like we're not just simply asking questions. We would just be breaking it down into smaller parts, and then we would be it's like we're not directly getting the answers. We are just creating a model where they can ask the questions, and the model itself or the AI tool itself will guide you to learn in a very structured way.
Okay.
For example, we have tools like Khanmingo and all that.
Exactly.
That's a very good tool where they provide guided learning. In I think ChatGPT and Gemini also, they have built in this guided learning mechanism nowadays.
Yeah.
But these are things that I think most of the students don't really know. What's your experience with this?
I think you touched a very important point in terms of not getting the answer directly. Rather, you try to get an understanding of the periphery of this question and how it is constructed. So do you remember the story of how a blind man recognizes an elephant? You feel and touch and see which parts are which, and so then you come to a certain broader understanding of the concept rather than just one output. You have a bigger understanding, which is very, very important. But that's the key. Again, I'm connecting your word smart. So if you don't use it in a way that builds your curiosity and gets you to understand that broader view of the concept, I think it's not going to help. If students start using it just to produce answers, just to get through the assignment, just to complete their work, I think it will definitely, in terms of multiple generations, we will lose certain IQ capabilities or brain capacities, cognitive development will be in a problematic situation. This has been, there are some research that is going on. It's still not concluded. There are research suggesting that there is a cognitive decline in younger generations, but it's still not finalized. But there is this concern.
So I think many AI giants are also raising these concerns as well. Especially it's not just general public anymore.
Yeah.
When it comes to higher education, when the students complete their schooling time, move on to do graduate studies, the use of AI at a graduate level or undergraduate level is something that's not easily controllable.
Okay.
So I've experienced the same two types of students when it comes to graduate and undergraduate levels as well. So how can the students at graduate, undergraduate levels use these tools to be more effective?
Jeewaka, do you think that there should be much of a difference? I personally, at a basic level, I think the idea remains the same, right? The curiosity should remain. You would have learned that for a person's well-being, curiosity is something that is very important. We always talk about lifelong learning, right? So that keeps you engaged, even for these problems like dementia, to keep your brain active, to be curious, to learn new things. So that basic idea of keeping the curiosity alive is important. That's a basic human capability, right? So keeping that in mind, I think mostly what students can do to gauge themselves, whether you're a school student or a graduate student, if they are strong on the fundamentals, if they're not over-relying on fundamentals, irrespective of school or graduate level. In mathematics, plus sign is a fundamental, right? You know what plus means. So if you have to search for that also, what it means, then it creates a problem, because you cannot scaffold your understanding on top of it. Same thing goes to graduate levels. So let's say something like, we teach computing, right? So double OP concepts. If you have to refer to something to understand what it is all the time, you are not able to scaffold the knowledge. So the basics, in my belief, is that basics should be there in your head, so that you can use it at any time. What's your take on it?
I have a similar take on that, because I've talked with many students from school ages to undergraduate students about these areas. So one thing that I constantly hear from them is that when we have all these tools that can give us whatever information we need, then they have this notion that the fundamentals are not something that's important for us. But it's the exact opposite, right?
Exactly.
What we need is people who have the fundamental knowledge, and at the same time they know how to use these tools.
Exactly.
It's like you want to do something like you want to build a nice ornament or something, and you have a lot of tools. You can use papers, you can use scissors to cut those papers and then make those ornaments however you want. So it's like the same analogy there. So we need to use these tools just the same way when we use scissors, sculpting tools, paint and everything. We have all these AI tools as well. They need to know how to use, what to use, and up to what sort of a level they can use. If they become over reliant, I think it goes back to the same problem, right? Their cognitive levels will be diminished.
Yeah. So that is, irrespective of the level, I think that is what we want to emphasize on to everyone, right? So we should not be over reliant on it. We should not diminish our curiosity. If you do so, there is this tendency to lose the cognitive aspect of it. In fact, when you told this only, I remembered there is this model actually that students also can use. What it says is basically first attempt. So first attempt is you, by pen and paper or whatever the fundamental stuff that you use to work, you use it and attempt the problem at hand. So that is attempt, right? So that is A. Then you go to the second stage of assist. Now you have a better idea of the problem. You've tried it with books, you tried it with pen, paper, pencil, and now you go for assistance with AI, right? Now there you don't use AI as a, put the question, get the answer. Rather you use it like what you said, maybe like a peer, maybe like a tutor, maybe like a coach, maybe like a heavy critic. We sometimes use it as a critic, right? So those models, you can put your work into it, you can prompt, and what happens when you do it by yourself first is the prompt become better, isn't it?
Yes, so you have a better understanding of the
Exactly.
problem itself. And then I have this belief that, to learn something, we have to make mistakes and we have to understand what those mistakes are. And like you said, once we have a attempt, then we can actually get the assist from the LLM, get it to criticize how we have solved the problem.
Exactly.
And point us to certain mistakes that we have done.
That takes us to the next step. So in this model, right? So you first attempt, assist, then comes improve, like you said, right? So attempt, assist, improve, and then comes to the final stage as educationists, as lecturers or teachers. Then the students has to prove your answer without the assistance of the technology. So that's where we do things like Vivas,
So we can actually, use these AI tools. Now, earlier when we were doing this, what we had to do is we had to go home and then we had to, attempt it ourselves, and we had to wait a whole day to go to school next day and then get the teachers to correct it and then come back again and do the
next day. You go to your best students, he's the peer, you ask questions from him. So that peer is now there on your laptop also, right?
So now the efficiency of doing this has been greatly improved because of these tools.
Yeah.
So, but you need to know how to leverage these tools to improve yourselves and use it to the best of, to become the best version of ourselves we could be.
Exactly. So I think to summarize about in AI in education, I think most important thing is you have to, the brain actually physically changes. It has to change during the learning process. It has to change. So it's like somebody going to a gym and trying to work out your muscle. The muscle becomes bigger. Something similar where your brain parts change. So for that, you need to give it exercise, which is your problem. If you offload it, we have heard the term called cognitive offloading, right? If you offload it, there is a chance that you would not have the same growth that you should have. So again, coming back to your word of being smart in AI use, I think whether you're a school student or whether you're a undergraduate, you need to have your model, like your guardrails, whether it's this AAIP model or some sort of a model, so that you use that model to use AI. I think it's very important. It's a discipline that all of us should have.
So before we move on to the next segment, I would like to get your thought on how they can use these prompts to get the models to do what we want. So I have seen people use just one word prompts, like you take a photo of the question that you're working on, you put it and asking how to solve it. But that's not what we are talking about, right? To go to these kind of AIP model and other models, we can structure the prompts in a better way.
Exactly. So in fact, before this discussion, we had this chat about student knowing English pretty well. I mean, in certain cases, people who did English literature major did well in some of the AI assisted assignments than the other students. So structuring your question, giving it examples, giving it a role, you have to be a critic on this. This is an example of a criticism that has been done. So all that rich prompt is required for you to get a better output. But I think creating the rich prompt depends on how much pre-work you have done in terms of that problem also, isn't it?
Yes, so even for a LLM to understand the problem, we need to provide it more context. So for us to give the context to the AI model, we need to understand the problem as well.
Yeah.
So that's where attempting it first would be much beneficial for them in the long run. If you just without attempting, if you just put it and ask one word question, the answer that the AI tool will give you versus if you give a proper structured prompt like what you said, would be much more would get you a much more improved version of the same response.
Definitely. So you suggest that prompt engineering is something that is very, very important now, right? How would you get someone? Do you have any recommendations to get a student, well established in terms of prompt engineering?
So to learn about prompt engineering, that's a whole domain itself.
Exactly.
So that's where a lot of job opportunities are also created nowadays, because we are talking about how jobs are going down with the use of AI, but this is a key example of how new roles have been building up as well. So how do you engineer a prompt is something that depends on what you need to use the tool for. Now for a student, if your goal is to learn, then you have to use a more Socratic style prompts where you give the context itself, but at the same time you are asking the model not to give you direct answers, but to guide you in a sort of a guided learning way. And many of the AI tools that people are using nowadays has this capability built in as well, but if not, you can actually add a certain sentence that would say, without giving direct answers, guide me step by step towards achieving my learning outcome. So if you give something like that, the AI tools will understand that and they will cater to what you need. So I think learning about how to give better prompts is a vast topic that we don't have a lot of time to dig into now.
Exactly.
But there are again, you can use AI tools to learn this. Now you have a tutor at home. You can ask, how can I write better prompts to improve the outputs from AI models, and AI model itself will help you with this.
Yes. Jeewaka, once a student, let's say a school student, goes to university, goes through this exposure to AI, the next step would be to join the workforce. Or maybe you start your own business. Either way, you're in the industry, right? Now, as we have understood, AI has had a massive impact on all the industries. Use of AI in 2023, especially generative AI, according to Gartner, has been at around 5% in 2023. Now it has gone up to a level of 80%, right, by 2026, which is a massive growth. So how would a person moving into the workforce, according to your understanding, how can he survive or thrive in that case in a work setup that is drastically different to what it was 10 years back?
So I think the big picture is the industry is in the midst of one of the most significant
Exactly.
transformations
Yes.
that we have
Yes.
seen in the more recent years. So I think AI will not sort of replace jobs all of a sudden, but
Yeah.
that will generally change how these jobs are done.
Yeah.
So if you go into the workforce expecting to perform the same set of traditional jobs that have been there, I think that would be uh, sort of
Wrong mindset, I would say. Right?
the wrong mindset.
Yeah.
So the industry, not just in IT sector but in all other sectors also, is changing very rapidly.
Exactly.
So you need to be someone who's not just technically sound, but you should be someone who's capable of adapting to these changes as well.
Exactly. So adaptability would be prime capability, isn't it? Everything is going to and will change at a faster pace.
Yes. So with that, you need to have a lot of soft skills as well, because you should be able to not just use these AI tools, but when you go to industry, you should be able to know how to use these tools. Plus, you also need to have that curiosity that we have been talking about, and the creative thinking mindset as well.
Right.
You should be able to see the existing processes, how these processes are being changed or transformed by use of AI, and you should be able to come up with out of the box, out of the box solutions
Yeah.
to improve the productivity using these tools as well. I think if you succeed in doing that, you would be a valued member in that particular company. Otherwise, then you are at a risk of losing your job because you have not really adapted to the new workforce.
Exactly. So I think the most interesting thing that the two things that I think worth diving deeper is the idea of productivity and the idea of creativity, right? Productivity is getting more done with less input, right? That's the idea of productivity. Let's say with less time, can you develop a software with lesser amount of time because you pay for the time? And the other idea is creativity. So creativity is the most essential part for problem solving, right? We solve problems. That's what humans do. So the more creative you are, the better skills you have to solve problems. So both aspects are very important. So when you told about this massive impact and the replacement of jobs, what came to my mind was one of the figures from this World Economic Forum, where they mentioned about 90 million jobs will be replaced, but about 170 million new jobs will be created, approximately. So, new means adaptability, right? We need to adapt to new things. So, that is the recurring thing that is coming up again and again. Right. So even in the IT sector, let's say briefly in IT sector, what have you come to observe when it comes to students? What do they say about the IT sector and how has it changed according to you?
So I think IT sector is one of the sectors that is being drastically changed.
Exactly.
So
Highest impact.
that's that's one of the highest impacting sectors. So we have seen many companies that are doing massive layoffs. Not just in Sri Lanka but in worldwide. We have seen even giants like Google have been laying off a lot of their workforce. So I think the core of it boils down to the adaptability.
Yeah.
So when the AI tools are being utilized in their companies and all that, it'll replace it now. Certain tasks that would take you to complete within about 1 week, 2 week, would be doable in about couple of weeks with a swarm of intelligent agents at your fingertips. So for a so that would be like two types of workers, I would say. One would be someone who's just traditionally doing the work as it used to, without giving any thought to adapting to new technologies and all that. At the same time, you have someone who's really good at using these tools to get the work done, but doesn't really have the fundamental knowledge. And then again, you have someone who's really good at the fundamental stuff and know when and how to use the AI tools, because companies nowadays are spending massive amounts on AI tools. So if the company hires a person who just have to, let's take the software engineering sector for example. So if we hire someone who's so reliant on these AI tools, just for solving a small bug, they have to upload the entire code base to LLM and then get the solution. They would be spending too much of company's budget, because they are because of the massive token usage. So company doesn't want the people who are not adapting, as well as people who are heavily reliant on these tools as well. So if you want to survive in the industry, I think one of the key things that you would have to look at is your fundamentals should be strong in whatever the sector that you are in, and then you need to know the best tools that can help you with that. And nowadays these best tools would be mostly AI tools. It could be a simple large language model, or it could be an entire swarm of agentic AI system with a swarm of agents that can do most of your work. But I think as a industry professional, your task or your worth would be not in how good you are at performing a particular task, but it would be at a much higher cognitive level, where how you can command these AI agents and to get things done. And when those AI tools get things done and they give you the output, you should be at a place where you can verify whether they have done it properly, and then just sign off or do the minor corrections needed. And that's where I think IT industry is at right now. But I think
so this reminds me of a discussion that I had with one of the graduate students, not an undergraduate, who is working. So now for them it's a matter of verifying whether the LLM generated code is correct, whether it's suitable for the given application. So that's a much, if you remember the Bloom's taxonomy, it's at a much higher level, analysis and evaluation levels, just below creativity. So these are very high cognitive capabilities, but without having those fundamentals, you cannot do this. Right? So we come back to the fundamentals question. You should be able to evaluate what generative AI has done, whether it's good enough, whether that can be improved further. So I think still the fundamental game is still there. It's just that you cannot only rely on fundamentals. You need to know how to use AI, and you said a very important point, when to use AI. Before this discussion, we spoke about some large language models going into a different costing mechanisms, going by tokenization. So now this game is going to change as to which tool you're going to use, when and where, and those questions will also come in, right?
Exactly. So if we take the simple $20 subscriptions we had, we would just we don't really think about our usage. We just ask a question and then we get the answers, and we had a discussion back and forth. But now, even if you take these AI tools, they have different models as well. Each different model has its own capabilities, and we will also have to decide between when to have longer conversations continued, because when we continue longer conversations, that builds up on the existing conversation. So these large language models are anyway when the conversation becomes larger, the context becomes larger, so the number of tokens we are using would be much larger, so the cost would be larger.
Exactly.
So you have to be able to analyze all this and justify the use of what tool, because at the end of the day, when it comes to industry, what matters is the outcome, the profit.
Yeah.
So if you are over reliant and if you are just using the highest available model for every simple task, that is unproductive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is, I think, something that the future graduates would have to consider as well, in addition to their technical aspects.
Yeah. So it's not going to be like you have one solution to everything. It's not one large language model or something that will solve all the problems. It might be you have to solve some of the small ones, and maybe you have to get assistance of the AI. So then in the industry, it's a matter of cost benefit analysis, right? So that will be, I think, team's performance will be evaluated in that case, obviously.
Exactly. And I think, like, we've been mostly focusing on IT sector, but these tools are becoming widely used in other industries as well.
Yeah.
If you take like smart farming, education, as well as textile industry and all the other industries, these tools are becoming very these tools are being adapted.
I think that's a very important point. Like from a country's point of view, as Sri Lankans also has to think a lot about not getting too much stuck in IT itself. Rather, how can we disperse this great technology into other sectors as well, right? So you spoke about farming. We've been farming for many centuries, but it's high time that we make real use of these technologies, getting them into the fields, right? Which is, I mean, if someone is specialized in this type of things, that is also a little hard to replace in it, because if you build a certain domain knowledge and you know how to use AI to those applications, now you are a little more unique than the rest. Obviously, when you're unique, replaceability is a little tough.
Exactly. So I think there was this discussion on earlier in education, like when we are studying something and when you're going to industry, if we learn something during our undergraduate to graduate days, that knowledge should be enough to last us for a longer time, right? But now it's not that. Yeah. That's when lifelong learning, as you said in the earlier conversation, is very useful. But going beyond that, now if you are specializing in just one single pillar, that would also not make you valuable. So having that domain knowledge, like IT, you know how to do the programming parts, you have that knowledge, but there are a lot of people with that same knowledge. So you need to know how to highlight yourself.
Yeah.
So having a secondary pillar where you have knowledge, let's say for example agriculture, that will help you stand out from the rest and you can specialize in that particular domain. Fintech, for example. So you have the technical capabilities, you know about the financial aspects of it as well. You can directly go into those kind of sectors. So I think for those who are going into industry, this is where the industry is moving towards, I think.
And how to survive, more than survive, I would say how to thrive, and looking to novel opportunities, how you can fuse technology with different sectors that we haven't fused before. There might be real innovative solutions out there. That leads me to another couple of questions, like how would, let's say I'm trying to start a business, okay? Now we see this trend of very small startups, maybe 3-4, they're doing really well in terms of income generation and as a company. I think AI is a game changer in this aspect as well, because you can scale massively with very small team. You can run a global operation if you really want, right? So this has been a significant thing that we also need to look into, because we see a lot of employees resigning by themselves also to take up some of these roles, right? What experience do you have with this type of work in terms of using AI into maybe something that you want to start, even if it's something like a small restaurant that you want to start? What sort of experience do you have?
So let's say I'm starting new, so I don't have a lot of capital, and so that means I'm limited by the number of people I can hire. But that was a worry that we had 5-6 years ago. But nowadays it's not that much of a big deal, because if I want to build up let's say a restaurant, as you said, I'll now earlier, if we want to do that, we are starting with the menu, right? So we want to build up our menu itself, let's say. So we would have to hire a chef like a couple of months before the venture begins, and then we would have to work with the chef to build the recipes, try it out and all that, which we can offload to a LLM, get a couple of different recipes to try out, and then again goes back to the chef. Chef would just have to grab whatever it is there and then try it out on his own, and then give his expertise to fine tune it to the to make it perfect. So when it comes to a chef also, you would need to know how to use these kind of tools, otherwise you would have to start from the scratch, and it will take you 2 months to come up with a menu, whereas someone who knows how to use AI tools will give you a menu in couple of days.
Very good point. Like now, when it comes to startup, there is always this discussion about go to market. So you try to go to the market as soon as possible, right? Because then only you can get the feedback, adapt, and do the changes. Like you said in the beginning, you have to make mistakes to learn. So you need to start in a decent enough place so that you can receive feedback, right? Any development. Let's say I run a small software company. Even for me to understand whether this product is really good or not, I need to have a base product, alpha, beta, theta version to put it out. So to come to this level, it's very fast, isn't it?
Because of AI. Because now, especially when it comes to software industry, now we have a lot of tools to to gather the requirements. So we are not replacing BAs and all, but we still have tools that would help us fast track these processes. We can I have seen people building up prototype versions in couple of weeks for massive projects. Now I think there's this shift where medium scale companies, they actually think of producing their own in-house software as well, rather than trying to outsource it and building it. Because for them, earlier, if they were to do that, they would have to hire a massive team. Now they just need a couple of senior people who knows how to use agentic AI. They can build a team of agents, where the team of agents might be consisting of a QA agent, a BA agent, couple of software engineering agents, specializing in front end and back end. So that whole package is there. You just need people who are good at orchestrating these agents and guiding these agents to get what needs to be done. Exactly. So this is a massive change that we are seeing, not just in IT sector, but that AI tools are being democratized in other sectors as well. So if you take for example, let's say a small medium scale reseller, you going into this digitalization, because the government anyway is pushing people to go into digitalization, and with these AI tools we can boost that as well. And when it comes to the competition, if you are adapting that and your competitors are not adapting it, that is where your value lies.
Yeah, there's definitely a competitive advantage, right? So that's what. So if you and I start two companies now, if you adopt more of AI, you're pro in terms of automating and making the maximum out of it, then definitely you have the advantage of going to the market before me and gaining that most important feedback, so that you can better. So you are in a upscale. You would develop faster, obviously. So that advantage is there. And so what we can invite our viewers also is to look into these different areas maybe you're passionate about, maybe you're interested about. If you want to start off your own thing, coming up to that prototype level has become easier now. Build your own thing. Yeah, so that's something very important and as well as fascinating, because if we wanted to do let's say a passion project, it took a lot of time, but now it's within couple of months or weeks you can do it.
Yeah, because like that passion is something and something important. So I personally know a few people who don't really have any IT background, but now they have hired a couple of IT graduates, and they are building up their own software to run their small companies. So that's a trend that I'm seeing that's happening. And if there are any viewers who are doing medium to small scale businesses, this is a high time that they would they would need to think about how to adapt these technologies.
Yeah, so you highlighted the word passion. The competitive, coming back to the competitive advantage, your passion might be different to my passion, right? Most of the time. So finding what you love is also very important, isn't it? Because in an AI era, you definitely have the advantage then, because you have all these tools that you can use to build anything, to learn anything. It's just that you have to keep at it. You have to keep on going with some sort of energy, and that energy is what you mean by passion, I would think, right?
Yes.
So that is an important thing to highlight for the viewers as well. It's not just that using the tool, knowing how to use all of that, finding your own inner passion and what you love to do is also important thing in this era. If you hit that spot, you have all the technologies available to help you build something good.
Yes, I think like with that passion and you need to learn multiple pillars would be ideal, because I know earlier we had this notion, if you are engineer or if you are a IT graduate you can earn more. So people, although they don't really have a passion on following an IT career, they tend to go towards that. But now you can be an IT graduate, but your passion is in some other area. You can apply your skills or your IT skills into that particular domain, and build a good business that relies on that uses AI to boost the efficiency and productivity. That way you can make a very good brand out of it.
Exactly. Yeah, the since you came to this point and we spoke about passion, I think it's important also to thrive in an AI era. We should also discuss about the ability to work with fellow human beings, collaborative skills, which was highlighted as one of the 21st century skills, right? So if we have the technology, we know what we love to do, it is also very important to learn and be good at working with people, isn't it? Otherwise, you cannot bring that product out to the market, or you cannot bring your output to the end user effectively. So that is also for our viewers something that is very important to work on in surviving in this any industry. Even if you work for a company, even if you don't have your own company, it's important, right? So that's something that we need to highlight, Jeewaka.
Yes. So communication skills, working collaboratively as a team, those are some soft skills that is needed pretty much.
Essential.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because of these digital tools and all that, we tend to miss that a lot, as you correctly said. But if you want to prove your value, those are some skills that you should definitely improve, and definitely keep on improving as well.
Exactly. I mean, which company would lose a person who can get a couple of guys together and push a product out and maintain that product? I mean, you don't want to lose that person. It doesn't matter how much technology the company have access to. You have this person who's responsible and plays this leadership role. I think leadership is also the next in line soft skill, big cohort that comes into mind, which is important for both workers as well as all the students, because we, even maybe in school or in graduate levels, we need more focus on building that type of people, isn't it? For them to be ready for this AI, that's not just AI or technical skill, like you said. These soft skills are also very important.
Yes.
Talking about businesses, Jeewaka, like let's say startups, or if we want to start our own thing, we are not only talking about AI companies per se, right? We are talking about much broader how AI can be used to leverage any other business, right? So what would be, in your idea, what would be common, or maybe something that you can do very fast, some sort of business ideas that we can maybe give our viewers also?
So I think AI can be leveraged in two ways in these ones. So for example, if you already have an existing business, how do you use AI to boost your productivity, or make yourself more visible? And on the other hand, if you are having some capital and resources and you want to test out certain ideas, you can use AI to generate business plans, do the projections, run the simulations that you needed, and maybe even to do some background checking, check Google Trends on specific locations, how these items have been moving, who are the competitors. Do this kind of research. You can use AI tools. So before you go into the actual business, you can use these tools to understand the domain, or understand what you are jumping into.
Even during the business operation, you can move your business in the direction that you want, because you have wealth of
Exactly. So we have a lot of tools, like any AI tool can analyze massive amount of data. So if you have your sales details and all that, you can use these tools to analyze this, visualize it, and see the trends. What are the high moving items? And I've seen people use these tools to optimize their stock keeping capacity, because you have limited storage capacity. And if you know your sales, daily sales and weekly sales, you can actually project how much of a particular item you can keep in stock. Earlier you need to have some sort of data science or statistical expert to do these ones, but now you can leverage the tools that you have to get these things done. And the second thing that I was talking about is, if you have an existing system, existing business, how do you get more visibility? One of the key things is you can build a website. So now we have tools like Lovable or Wix that can build you a website. You can customize it just by giving a prompt. If you, as we said, knowing English and how to communicate is a key factor. So if you know those two, then you can effectively build these websites. They know how to build. If you give the prompt properly, with all the context details about your customer base, about what sort of product you are building and your target audience, everything, the AI tools are capable enough to customize the color themes, the template of the website to match all these ones. So you're living in an age where you have a lot of tools, as we discussed earlier, they just need to know how to use and when to use these tools. And I think one other area that they can apply is to build their own in-house systems, right? If you are still running on manual systems and you are waiting until it becomes mandate for you to transform to a digital space, that will not be the ideal case. How do you think they can leverage these tools to?
So I think just now we were discussing about the developments that you also have helped to come about, like developing your own. Maybe you are running a small operation. If you go to any place, like even if you go to a normal local shop, there are shops, there are a lot of small scale manufacturing entities that are working on, but they are basically struggling in terms of just to keep a track of what is going on.
Exactly.
Right. So then, like we said, how many customers are coming into the shop, how much of footfall is there, how much of products are being taken out, which brands are sold the most. So if a person wants to build a system to analyze these things, it can be done very easily now, right? You need a little bit of understanding of how these things work, but it's not as hard as what it used to be. It can be built in-house. Even ERP systems that you mentioned before, those can be built within your company or your shop. Or it's just, now we know, we have experience, right? Even a fourth year graduate student can build a real good system. I in fact came across, this was last year, this was 2 A-level students, grade 12. They have built an entire system for their school, right? For students, from marking, from displaying marks, to applying leaves for their teachers, the entire system on a platform. There wasn't any operation that I could find out, because I was evaluating that I could say, you missed this, because they have implemented all those elements into the system. So those things are pretty much possible. Even I encourage them to, give it out, start your own startup and give it as a service to maybe schools, maybe tuition classes even. There's a lot of tuition classes here. So that possibility is there, like you said. Some other things that comes to my mind, we were also discussing about some of the examples about with large language models, building services on top of large language models, using large language models. We were discussing the example of, Didula was mentioning about how you can build, or there was this company that is doing really good just by building a large language model and doing those bulk emails in a customized way. So those are, I think, real good examples of how, I would say, how easy it would be to go to the market with this type of technology in hand.
I think if you are venturing into creative areas like content creation, search engine optimization, and even graphic designing, there are a lot of ways these AI tools can help you with that. I think we can build models, we can build 3D models, we can build artwork. There are a lot of things that AI can contribute to. You won't be able to get a 100% creative idea out of AI tools, but these AI tools can help you build certain components of it that would speed up your delivery itself.
Exactly.
I think we were talking about this earlier also, creating music videos and videos out of AI usage.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is also something that people have done, and in fact Didula did one couple of years ago. So that's a very good area.
example,
People can go into and create new opportunities and start new ventures in these areas as well, because we have not really explored all the possibilities
Not
that
at all.
comes out of
Definitely not.
these tools, especially in countries like Sri Lanka. We do have a massive gap in how we have adapted AI tools.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that is a good point for us to conclude our discussion as well in terms of what we've been discussing. So for the benefit of our viewers, if we can summarize as a student, we spoke about as a student, maybe you're a school student or a graduate student, just to remind them how they can use, what are the important things that they should keep in mind.
Yes, so at a learning stage, I think you should know not to offload your cognitive workload to AI tools. Build up your knowledge, build up your neural network pathways by attempting these ones first, and then using AI tools to assist you and to improve your work, and then to ask questions and assess your knowledge itself. So at a learning stage, I think this is the best way to use AI tools. So keep yourself to improve yourself while using these tools as uh, you know uh, tutors, guiders, or coaches to help you achieve what your learning outcomes are, what your learning goals are.
Right. So then that brings me to the idea of the in the case in the industry, where I think industries are changing rapidly. We have observed exponential growth of AI adaptation. AI is not bad by itself, right? AI, so there is this notion, because sometimes you say the AI is not good, or there is this claim, but it's not the case. It's just a technology. It's just us that we have to be responsible and we have to adapt. So the word adapt is very important. We have to rapidly adapt. We have to change. We cannot be too comfortable with what we know today, because we have to know more if we want to survive in the industry. You need to have a strong understanding on the fundamentals also, because you need to, AI is a tool that you need to guide it. So you play a role of a guide. You guide it. So you need to be able to assess what AI produces. Is it good? Is it bad? Do I need something better than this? So you need a very high level cognitive capability. You cannot be saying, oh, I don't need fundamentals, let me you know get AI to do the same thing. But you can't, because someone who knows fundamental and use AI is going to outperform you. That's a given, right? So having the fundamental understanding of any given domain subject that you're working on, continuously learning, continuously adapting, sharpening your skills in terms of the soft skills like collaborative skills, leadership skills. Those are not very easy to be replaced by any technological system. So those things are most important things that I think we should focus on. And if you want further details, you can just Google and see 21st century skills. So in a workforce, if you want to do or thrive, you can learn about these skills and make sure that you do learn and sharpen those skills on a day-to-day basis. And then we discussed about maybe starting your own business, or how you can adapt AI into what you're already doing. In that case, I think the most important thing is that understanding the fact that if you want to do something new, you can come to that prototype level very fast, and then it's a matter of tinkering and making it better. So you can do that leap very fast. And if you have your passion projects, things like that, I think it's the best time to try it out and give it a go. And if you are a traditional business, let's say if you're just running a shop or any other traditional business, if you want to do really well in the market, you need to know how to adapt this technology as soon as possible to your own business. And if you are planning for any type of business, you need to plan ahead as to see how we can best adapt these technologies when we go out to the market. You need to have that space when you plan. So those are important things that we need to consider when we want to do really well in this, ever so changing era. Jeewaka?
Exactly. I think because of these changes, we have a lot of things that we didn't touch, which I think future special episodes will focus on. And things like responsible and ethical use of AI. These are massive areas. I believe we'll be talking about these ones in future episodes. But with that, I think it's time for us to conclude the special episode on AI for today.
That's it. We are signing out. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.